Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to completely flip the script on how we understand the ADHD brain today. We're talking about transforming it from a source of shame into a source of absolute empowerment. If you, or maybe someone you love, has been navigating life with ADHD, well, you already know the struggle is very, very real. But what if the way we've been looking at it this whole time is just totally backwards? Let's dive in. So let's start right off the bat with a provocative question. Have you ever felt lazy, stupid, or crazy? It hits pretty hard, doesn't it? But asking this instantly validates that massive, exhausting internal struggle so many adults face, sometimes for literal decades, before getting an official diagnosis. You know the feeling? You're constantly trying to keep up, just looking around and wondering why things that seem like a breeze for everyone else feel like climbing Mount Everest for you. We are so quick to accuse ourselves of moral failings, right? Like it's just laziness, a lack of effort, or some bad behavioral choice. But here's the reality, and it's fascinating. What we're actually looking at is a profound neurological difference. We're talking about literal physical brain chemistry differences involving neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine. It's a neurodevelopmental condition. And honestly, really absorbing that fact is the absolute first step to dropping all that heavy self-blame. Section 1. The Engine Room, Demystifying the Brain's Management System. To really grasp this neurological reality, we need to pop the hood and look at the brain's unique operating system. That operating system is governed by something called executive functions. Basically, these are the cognitive processes that act as your brain's internal management system. Now, for folks with ADHD, this management system, it operates pretty inconsistently. And here's the massive aha moment. The real challenge isn't a lack of desire. And it absolutely isn't a lack of intelligence. It's a consistent difficulty in execution. You might know exactly what you need to do. The blueprint is right there in your head, but your management system is just struggling to shift the car into gear. So the crucial takeaway here is that ADHD extends way, way beyond just paying attention. It directly impacts 6 specific cognitive processes. We're talking working memory, planning and prioritization, organization, time management, impulse control, and emotional regulation. When your brain struggles to regulate these specific areas, everyday tasks, anything from just getting out the door in the morning to wrapping up a major work project, can suddenly feel completely overwhelming. And this creates a massive ripple effect across every single domain of life. The clinical deficits directly fuel an invisible, heavy emotional toll. For example, time management struggles, that leads to the burnout of constantly trying to just keep up with the clock. Impulse control issues can unintentionally strain your closest relationships. Planning deficits mean you know exactly what to do, but you're just physically unable to start. It's this invisible struggle that so often leads to those chronic lingering feelings of failure. Moving on to Section 2, the flip side, unleashing your unique neurotype. But here is the really fun part. This operating system doesn't just come with bugs. It comes with some incredible hidden features. By pivoting away from always focusing on the deficits, we can uncover the remarkable strengths inherent to the ADHD neurotype. And listen, these aren't just coping mechanisms. They are genuine superpowers. We're talking wild creativity and nonlinear innovation, hyperfocus, which lets you take massive deep dives and master high-interest subjects, incredible resilience built from navigating a neurotypical world, boundless energy, and finally, deep intuition and empathy that makes you highly, highly attuned to other people. Which brings us to a super important takeaway. Find your niche. Do not try to fit the mold. The ultimate goal here is to seek out careers, hobbies, and relationships that actually celebrate your unique, nonlinear way of operating, rather than forcing your brain into a box it simply wasn't built for. Think about it. Why force yourself into a rigid 9-to-5 desk job if you actually thrive on high-energy, hands-on problem-solving? When you finally stop fighting your brain's natural wiring, you free up a massive amount of energy to actually thrive. Let's jump into Section 3, the User Manual, Externalizing Your Executive Functions. So, now that we've validated the struggles and highlighted those incredible strengths, how do we actually build a user manual for this incredibly powerful brain? Well, the foundational rule is this: externalize your executive functions. Since your internal management system is kind of spotty, relying on sheer willpower is a totally losing battle. The most effective strategy is to build external structures, tools, and routines to compensate for those internal hiccups. You literally have to outsource the heavy lifting of your brain directly into your physical environment. And that all starts with proactive environmental design. You can actually design an ADHD-friendly space by following 3 simple steps. First up, declutter to radically reduce sensory overload. Second, Create dedicated spaces. Think like a specific landing strip right by the front door for your keys and wallet so they never ever get lost again. And third, introduce visual cues like clear labels or open shelving. Because let's be real, for the ADHD brain, out of sight literally means out of existence. By designing your space this way, you make the right choices easier and heavily reduce your daily mental fatigue. Building right on top of that physical environment, you're going to need to experiment with a personalized toolkit of strategies to figure out what best supports your own individual workflow. This is all about trial and error, so don't get discouraged. It might include visual aids like big whiteboards and neon sticky notes, or time management tools like Pomodoro timers to manufacture a little bit of urgency. It means breaking down massive, scary tasks to reduce the overwhelm, establishing consistent routines so you can automate your decisions, and intentionally minimizing distractions with things like noise-canceling headphones. Remember, what works perfectly for one person might totally flop for another, so play around with it and find your fit. And finally, Section 4, the support system, thriving through self-compassion and advocacy. Tools and environments are fantastic, sure, but the absolute most important support system is the one living right inside your own head. You really have to embrace radical self-compassion. The journey to truly thriving absolutely requires dismantling years and years of internalized shame. It means catching that super critical internal dialogue, the voice that whispers you're lazy or stupid, and replacing it with supportive, non-judgmental mindfulness. Seriously, you have to start treating yourself with the exact same grace and empathy you would immediately offer to a struggling friend. Now, a big part of that journey is also learning to bridge the communication gap with the people around you. You need to educate your family, your friends, and your colleagues on a few core facts. Number 1, it is not a lack of willpower. Number 2, it affects executive functions, not just your attention. Number 3, you absolutely cannot just snap out of it. And number 4, it manifests differently in everyone. Clearly communicating these facts is what transforms your isolation into genuine mutual understanding. But beyond just explaining what you're experiencing, you really must learn to actively advocate for your needs. Self-advocacy creates conducive environments. This means setting firm boundaries and confidently requesting the necessary accommodations at work or at school. And hey, remember this, you aren't asking for special treatment here. You are simply creating a baseline environment where you are fully, completely capable of succeeding. Which brings us to a pivotal step for so many people, the power of a formal diagnosis. Look, a diagnosis isn't some negative label. It's a vital key that unlocks a holistic approach to professional support and long-term well-being. It provides deep validation and clarity for all those past struggles. Plus, it opens the door to potential medical support, specialized therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, amazing ADHD coaching, and formal educational or workplace accommodations. There is a brilliant quote from the research that sums this up perfectly. Your brain isn't broken, it's simply running on a different, powerful operating system. So as you walk away from this explainer today, I want to leave you with this one provocative thought to chew on. Now that you know for sure you aren't lazy, stupid, or crazy, what incredible things could you achieve now that you finally have the right user manual for your brain?